Welcome to a first look at the AxiomAir user interface. Presently we're displaying the splash page for the interface, and a click anywhere on the page will bring us into the main AxiomAir interface window. So I'm going to do a walkthrough of the different features of the interface. On the left side we have, under Music Source, the various items that deal with how your music library is arranged, web radio, and then details of creating favorites and playlists. So starting with favorites, if we click on the Favorites tab, we'll now see a bunch of songs that have been added to our favorites. When the song is playing, if you'd like to add it to your favorites, you can hit the heart icon that's over here on the Now Playing window, or you can also go into your music library and, using a pull-down menu that will be appearing on the right-hand side where these three dashes are, you'll be able to select Add to Favorites, and as we'll see in a moment, also add to a specific playlist. By hitting the home button, we go back to the main page, and if we look at the playlist tab, we see again a number of songs that are in a playlist that are simply called playlist at this point. Playlists can be set up and named to anything that you like, and they can be added to dynamically, either from your favorites or music library categories. Again, the three bars next to any song, album, artist, or grouping will have a pull down that will allow you to add it to a specific playlist or to add to a new playlist where you'll be asked to provide a name. Hitting the home button takes us back again, and under Music Library, you'll see that we have a source selector here. USB refers to a USB drive that is plugged into one of the USB ports on the front of the AxiomAir speaker. And NAS will be any NAS or network shared hard drive that you have set up in the settings menu that we'll be showing you a little bit later. By clicking on either of these USB or NAS tabs, will then bring you into your active music library that are on those devices. And the folder structure is maintained. So however you've set up your music library folders, whether it's by artist name, album name, song name, genre, any of those things will appear here. We'll hit the home button and we'll deal with the last two tabs that are radio, which is actually web radio stations. We'll be providing a list of popular web radio stations, but we also will have a feature that will allow you to add your favorite web radio information to add your station. Radio Favorites acts exactly like Music Source Favorites, except it's a place that you can store your favorite radio stations from the radio station menu. Next, we're going to look at the Now Playing window that's here on the right-hand side. This is really the part of the interface that once you have your library set up, you have your playlists and your favorites set up, that you're going to be using most often. At the top right-hand side, we have the play button. We have a track back and a track forward button. And when the play button is activated, this will turn into a pause button. Below that, we'll see the artwork, if it is present in your music folder for that particular album title, and then the metadata information that's tied to that specific track. So artist, song, album title, and we'll also give some information in terms of what the format is. Below that, we have a progress bar, which we can actually modify if you want to skip forward or back in the track you're listening to. The heart or favorites button, as I described earlier, a repeat function that will repeat everything that we'll show you in the coming up next box below, and then a shuffle. The shuffle feature also only acts on the coming up next section. Now, since we're talking about that, we'll scroll down and look at this coming up next section. Simply, this is whatever you have added to play next in order. It can comprise either individual tracks, albums, entire genres, or entire catalogs of a particular artist. You can put a playlist in here if you wish, and you can select from your favorites to put in here. Really, it will give you a view of in what order things are going to be playing, and you have the opportunity, once you've added things to the coming up next, to your actual active playing folder, you have the opportunity to drag these items around if you want to rearrange them. Further down on the page, we see the music, playback volume, and mute information. And here we have a slider, which is the volume of the currently selected device that is down here at the bottom. We can either drag the tab, or we can use the speaker icons to actually move the volume level up and down. If we hit mute, that will stop all sound. It does not stop playback. Playback is stopped by using the pause button that I spoke about earlier. Mute will just simply mute the audio. If you hit the mute button again, it'll bring the volume level back to its previous setting. Now, this slider occurs in a section at the bottom of the page here called Rooms and Groups, and you can see a number of devices that we've labeled here. One great room, one kitchen, one John's room, and whatever is the highlighted room down here is the one that you'll be controlling. So from this interface, you can actually start different playlists or different information playing on different units throughout the home by just going to this single interface. Now, we spoke about groups. Let's click on the Rooms and Groups header here, and now we're taken to a subpage for configuring multi-room. You'll see that there are a number of rooms listed here, great room, dining room, John's room, that we saw on the previous page, but there's also this group 1, which is labeled patio party. And then there's a volume control slider, very much like the one on the previous page, beside each of the rooms. Now, this is the interface where you can set up a group for multi-room audio, and what that means is that if you want to broadcast and play back the same music in multiple locations to multiple AxiomAir speakers around your home, this is the area that you would set that up. So as you'll notice that next to each of the individual rooms, like great room, dining room, John's room, you'll see that there's a single AxiomAir logo next to that. But on the group 1 patio party, you'll see that there are 3 icons. Those 3 icons suggest that there are 3 additional rooms that are sitting in this group. And if I click on group 1, I will now expand that, and we'll see that there are 3 additional rooms, patio, kitchen, and den, that are in this group 1. Now, it's very simple to create this group for a common playback. I simply have to pick a room, let's pick dining room here, and drag it down into group 1. And now you'll see that we've added that to the group 1 section. So now that room will play the audio that's playing in group 1 patio party. And you'll also notice that the number of AxiomAir icons has increased to 4. If I take now John's room and drag it down here to add it to group 1, now we have 5 icons. So that gives you a quick indication of how many rooms are shared within that group. You will have the ability to actually name these groups, anything that you want. And if you want to remove one of the rooms, let's say we want to remove the kitchen, it's simply a matter of clicking on this red X here on the right-hand side next to kitchen. So if we click that, you'll see now kitchen is ungrouped. It's now by itself. It's not in group 1 anymore, and the number of icons has reduced to 4. So that's the simple way that you can actually configure active groups to play audio throughout your house. So if we'll hit the home button and go back to the main page, and one of the other features, once you've set up your music library, whether it happens to be on a USB stick or on a shared drive on a computer or somewhere on the network in your home, you can search all of the information that's in that music library using this window up here. Now on the very right hand of the screen, you'll see that we have another menu icon, and if I click that, we'll see that there's some options here. Now, most of these things are going to be settings that you make once when you're setting up the system for the first time, and really won't be used much in the future other than an alarm and a sleep function, and possibly the help function. Obviously, there's a pointer to the Axiom store if you wish to buy more AxiomAirs or accessories. And the first of the setup options that you will probably make use of is the network option. So we're going to start there, click on network, and you'll see that we have network configuration. If you had an Ethernet cable plugged in, it will automatically show a dynamic IP address, assuming that you have DHCP set up. You also have the ability to set a static IP. Under that is the Wi-Fi address, which, if you've turned the unit on for the first time, will be the IP of the integrated AxiomAir Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's what you'll connect to on your phone, tablet, or a computer in your house the first time that you turn on your AxiomAir speaker in order to put the speaker on your home Wi-Fi network. And that is done at this Wi-Fi setup section below at the bottom here, where you put the name of your home Wi-Fi network, you select the security type, which everybody's used to doing, and the password for your Wi-Fi network. Click Save Changes, and now the AxiomAir speaker will be sitting on your home Wi-Fi network. Now, if we go back from there to the menu, we'll look at another item that you might want to look at, which is playback options. Playback options are basic things that allow you to set how your playback is going to happen, whether you want to have gapless playback. Volume normalization simply means that it will equalize and even out the volume level of all of your music tracks. And there's some buffering things that you can set in case you find that you're having dropouts or other issues. We can, because of network activity, we can increase the size of the buffer. And finally, at the bottom here, we have auto update. If you select yes here, what will happen is that anytime you change, add, move a file in any of the music database libraries, which are any network drives or NAS that you may have set up, or a USB stick that's plugged into the front, it will automatically update the AxiomAir database with those changes. One other thing we'll look at is the Update tab, which will allow us to actually do updates over the internet anytime that we've made feature additions or improvements to the AxiomAir software. Again, because there's a full operating system and computer built into each AxiomAir speaker, we can do these full updates. For example, if a new type of audio file standard came out, like a new version of MP3, for instance, we have the ability that we can integrate that into our operating system, and you as the user can update it remotely. So that's a look at the features of the AxiomAir web user interface, and as such, being a web user interface, this can be accessed on any device where you can open a web browser. Thank you very much.